Right, part two. In part one, I told you what happens to your body when you quit drinking. The sleep chaos, the sweating, the weird clarity that starts creeping in around week 3. But I didn't tell you about the emotions. Because honestly, I wasn't ready to talk about it then. I'm not entirely sure that I am ready now. But I promised you part 2, so here it is. 15 months in, no labels, just the truth. This is the bit that nobody talks about. Here's what they don't put on the sobriety posters. You quit drinking and you expect to feel better. And in some ways you do. But then, out of nowhere, you feel absolutely fucking dog shit. Not hungover terrible, something different. Something you weren't warned about. Rage. Grief. A sadness that doesn't attach itself to anything specific. And then there's moments of joy, so sharp they feel almost suspicious. And you're standing there thinking, is this what I really signed up for? Because this doesn't look like the bloke on the fucking Instagram post with the green smoothie, the white teeth and the ring light. No, this is the emotional reboot. And nobody warned me about it either. So what's actually happening? When you've been drinking for a long time, and I'm talking 45 fucking years in my case, not just a couple of heavy months, alcohol becomes part of your brain's operating system. It floods the system with GABA, that's your brain's off switch. Calm, numb, easy. And it suppresses glutamate, which is the accelerator. So your brain, being the clever little bastard that it is, it compensates for this. It dials down on GABA production and cranks up glutamate sensitivity just to keep you functional between drinks. And when you stop, that compensation switch doesn't switch off overnight. Your brain is still in overdrive, more accelerator than brake. And that's why the first few weeks can feel like every emotion is turned up to 11. Then there's the dopamine system. Alcohol spikes dopamine artificially. We've been over this a fucking million times. Every drink was a reward signal. Your brain learned to expect it. Without it, the reward circuitry is just running on fumes. Things that used to feel good and should feel good, they don't. They're flat. There's nothing there. And then when something does get out, and then when something does get through the noise, it can hit you harder than you expect. That's not weakness. This is your biology doing exactly what biology does. Your brain is rewiring itself. That process is not comfortable. So what actually showed up for me? For me, it was anger first. And I'm not an angry man by nature. Yeah, honest. Ask anyone who knows me. I'm pretty measured. But in the first few months off the drink, I had a temper that surprised me. Small things that wouldn't have registered before. And I didn't understand where it was coming from. What I understand now is that alcohol is a suppressant. Not just physically, emotionally. For 45 years, anything difficult that surfaced, I had a mechanism to blur it. Not process it, blur it. The moment that mechanism was gone, there was a backlog. The anger wasn't about the thing in front of me. It was old. It was everything I hadn't actually dealt with. Then came grief, and I wasn't expecting that at all. I grieved alcohol, which sounds fucking ridiculous when you say it out loud. I know, but I did. Not the damage it caused, not the lost time. I grieved the ritual. The signal at the end of the day that said, you've done now, stand down. I had to build something to replace that. And for a while there was nothing there, just a gap. And then this one caught me completely off guard. Joy. Clean, unfiltered, sober joy. Standing in the fucking river on a January morning, water so cold it fucking drives everything else out of your head, watching fog clear over the valley, watching swans just fucking drift by. Small, ordinary things, and they hit me in a way they hadn't in years. And that felt strange too, almost too much. Turns out you can be overwhelmed by positive emotion the same way you can be by negative. Your nervous system doesn't discriminate. It's been numb for fucking decades. It's recalibrating. Why long-term drinkers get hit harder. And this matters, and not enough people say it clearly. If you've been drinking for decades, the emotional reboot hits differently than if you've had a couple of heavy years and decided to stop. Your nervous system's been running on a modified operating system for fucking ever, for a very long time. The baseline has shifted. Your brain doesn't have a clear fucking memory of what natural feels like without alcohol, because for most of your adult life, neutral included it. Shorter term drinkers often move through the first few months and find their emotional footing relatively quickly. Long term drinkers can find themselves building emotional regulation skills they never fully developed over that 4 years of drinking, and the drinking quietly erased. And that's not doom, it's just fucking context. And knowing it made me stop judging myself for finding it harder than I expected it to be. How long does it last? The honest answer? Most of what you'll read says 3 to 6 months for the acute stuff. And that's basically broadly true. The storm does settle, but for long-term drinkers, the wiring continues beyond that. I'm 15 months in now, and I'm still noticing things. Emotional responses that surprise me. Patterns that are only becoming visible. It's not in a bad way, but the landscape keeps changing. Think of it less like a storm that passes and more like a country that you've never visited before. The dramatic weather settles, but you're still learning the terrain. And what actually helped me get through the first 6 months? Understanding the biology of it. Once I knew why it was happening, I stopped interpreting my emotional state as a failure. It wasn't evidence I was broken. It was evidence that the process was working. Cold water. Getting in the usk in January is not fucking pleasant. But it is clarifying in a way I don't have a better word for than a reset. The shock of cold water does something to your dysregulated nervous system. I can't handle your clinical trial for it. I can handle you 15 months of lived experience and lived evidence that helped me. Movement. Not grinding it out, just moving. The body carries a lot of what mind refuses to process in while you're sitting still. And letting the emotions actually arrive. Not performing calm, not performing fine. Just letting the feeling show up, noticing it, and not immediately trying to fix it or outrun it. Sitting with discomfort without reaching for something to make it stop. That's the core of the identity work I do. And it's harder without the drink in your hand. But it gets easier. And what this means for you. If you're in early and you still feel like a mess, you're not fucking broken. If you're further along and the emotional stuff is still servicing, you're not failing. If someone you love has stopped drinking and becomes harder to be around, they're not ungrateful. Their nervous system is in the middle of rebuilding itself, and that's a process that doesn't happen quickly. The better mornings are real. The sharper mind is real. The weight shifting, the energy coming back. It's all fucking real. But none of it skips before. The before is the emotional reboot. You don't go around it, you go through it. There we have it. That's part 2. Part 1 is in the description and pinned in the comments if you haven't seen it. That's where the physical side lives. If this matched anything you've been going through, leave a comment. I do read them all. I try to respond to them all as well. And if something in your life needs to hear this, share it with them. Pick up the wrench, like, subscribe, and come back for more.